Dragon Age the Veilguard is less than 2 weeks away, and with this, I wanted to break down everything that you need to know before the game's release, and hopefully give you a better idea if you're going to purchase this game, or this might be a game that you want to skip on. Because there are a lot of things about this game that, as a Dragon Age fan, I'm very excited about, but also very worried about and very skeptical about going into the release of Dragon Age the Veilguard. But before we get into it, thank you guys so much for the support on the channel. We're almost at 360 subscribers. My goal by the end of the week is 400, so thank you guys so much for supporting. If you guys like gaming news, if you like gaming reviews, specifically with RPGs for the most part, and you like what you see here, please subscribe. It helps me out a lot. Now let's get into the video. So the first thing that you need to know is in relation to Bioware's consumer practices, this game is actually only going to be $60. It's not going to be the full $70 like a lot of games are nowadays, which is big. In terms of preload times, you will have preload on consoles, but you will not have preload on the PC, and that's because there is no third-party DRM. Denuvo will not be included, which is so amazing for those who actually want a game to come out and be stable, because we know what Denuvo does to big games when it comes out for the first couple months before they take it out of there. Now, aside from all of this, the pre-order options don't include anything other than appearance. I don't think they're worth it in any way. There's no 3-day early access or anything like that, which in my opinion is just bullshit in general. I don't want to be playing the game late access if I don't have to pay them a ton of extra money. And then all of this together, if you are buying the game on PC, you can just buy it on Steam. You do not have to play this through EA's specific launcher. All of that is good for the most part. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is the story, and avoiding all spoilers, I really want to just talk about, are you going to be able to carry over your data from previous Dragon Age games to the Veilguard? And it's a little bit of a yes and no here, a little bit of good news, but also majority bad news in this case. You are not going to be able to carry over any of your Origins or Dragon Age 2 data. The only thing you're going to be able to carry over is your relationship choice from Dragon Age Inquisition, as well as whatever you chose at the end of the Inquisition DLC. And then when you're starting off in Dragon Age the Veilguard, you're pretty much going to be starting with Solas performing the ritual, carrying over directly from how Dragon Age the Inquisition ended. Now, this is a big bummer to me. They're definitely going to have to kind of walk around or not directly mention a lot of things from the first or the second game. And obviously going into Inquisition, if you're only able to choose a couple different options there, they're going to probably shy away from a lot of stuff there as well, but at least there is something that you are able to carry over into Veilguard. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, transitioning away from the story, is the world as a whole. What does the world look like? How is it going to feel to navigate the world? And the first big thing that I think is going to be a big change, at least from players who played Inquisition, is that this game is not going to be open world. This game is going to be open-ended, which I think lends a lot better to Bioware's Frostbite engine, not being able to really do great open world games for the most part. So this seems very good, especially we've not heard anything about bugs or anything like that so far in the game. Everything's been very polished and smooth. Now, that's not to say those will not come at a later time, but overall, I think the world being open-ended and not open world is a very good thing, and I think it lends itself better to what Bioware does well. Unfortunately, though, I don't think a lot of the models, like the Qunari or the Darkspawn models, or just pretty much the art direction they went with the characters and the enemies in general, look very good in the world as a whole. I think a lot of the moments and a lot of the things we've seen in the world looks beautiful. However, the characters and the Disney-fication, if that's even a word, of the characters, I don't think fits very well in the Dark Age universe as a whole. However, I do think, like I said, the world does look beautiful for the most part. You're just not going to be getting as much dark and gritty as you've been getting in the previous games, which is something that is definitely a bummer to me. And if you're not someone who's going to be immersed in this type of world, I definitely don't think this is going to be the game for you up front. If you can't get immersed into an RPG, I don't think you should be playing that RPG, because that's one of the biggest things that I love and other people love about RPGs. I'm still going to give it a shot. I think I'll probably get over it pretty quickly, but for someone who wouldn't get over it, I don't think this is going to be for you. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is you, the character Rook, who you're going to be playing, your customization options, and what this basically means for the world as a whole. So, the character customization looks pretty good for the most part. I think there are a lot of different options to change up. You can change the bulge. I mean, hey, that's always a good thing. So, Do what you will with the character customization. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't, whatever. But when you get into the game, you are going to be playing Rook no matter what you chose in the character creation. You are also able to choose your faction in the character creation, which is not going to have a direct correlation to the classes, although all of the classes also have a correlating faction. Now, this faction is pretty much going to be the background on why you left that faction and joined the Veilguard, and you as Rook are now going to be the leader of the Veilguard, which you are then going to be going on the journey with whatever companions you choose to go on that journey with. Now, this leads me really well into the companions, and you're going to have 7 different companions to choose from, up to 3 to have in your party at one time. There's going to be 3 mages, 2 rogues, and 2 warriors. The first warrior is going to be Davrin, who is a bold and charming Grey Warden who made a name for himself as a monster hunter. Tosh is going to be a dragon hunter allied with the Lords of Fortune faction, and then you have your rogues, with Lace Harding being the first one, who you have come to obviously know and love in Inquisition. Then you have Lucanus, who is a poised and pragmatic assassin, part of the House of Crows faction. He's going to be kind of that like cool ass type of guy you can bring in your party. Then you're going to have your mages, first being Balara. She's that kind of quirky, annoying girl for the most part, but obviously she's going to have some depth to her as well, hopefully, when you go in the game, although she hasn't been getting the best reviews so far, at least from what people have played, so not necessarily my taste to bring in my party. The next is going to be Emmerich. He is a necromancer of the Navarro's Mournwatch faction. I believe he also has a skeleton with him at the same time, so that's a little bit 2 party members for 1 there. And then you have, I think it's pronounced Neve or Neve, who is a cynic fighting for a better future. She's a private detective, and she's part of the Shadow Dragons faction. And just like your party members are going to have a class, you are also going to be able to choose between 3 main classes. Now, these 3 main classes are going to be the mage, the warrior, and the rogue, just like your companions. However, within each class, you are going to be able to choose from 3 specific specializations within each main class. Now, with the mage, you can be a Deathcaller. This is going to be your necromancer class, which has lifesteal and summons. You can be a Spellblade, which is an up close and personal kind of like melee combat battle mage type of class. And then you're also going to have the evoker, which is the elemental mage, more of a traditional styled mage that's able to use fire, magic, lightning at their disposal. Then you get to the rogue, where you can be a saboteur, someone who uses a lot of different traps. You can also be a duelist, someone who specializes in dual wield, dual dagger combat. And then you can also be a Veil Ranger, someone who's going to be specializing in far ranged bow combat. And lastly, getting to the warriors, you can be a champion, which is the sword and board, or at least one-handed weapon and shield type of class, where you're not doing as much damage, but you're a lot tankier in the process. Then you have the Slayer, which is the big damage dealing, 2-handed wielding class. And then last, you have the Reaper, and the Reaper is going to be that kind of soul siphon class where you're manipulating your own health for different benefits, or you're stealing health from your enemies. Think a Death Knight type of class or a Shadow Knight type of class. Now, what are you actually going to be using these specializations to do? And that is the combat in the game. And unfortunately, the combat in the Veilguard is something I'm definitely worried about in terms of my own enjoyment, because I'm someone who loves the previous Dragon Age game combat, where it's more of a tactical pause and play type of combat versus the full-on action combat that they're bringing into Veilguard. Although you can at least pause and use like kind of like a quick wheel to direct your companions to kind of also come in and attack with you, or do some chain reactions of attacks, etc. But overall, the combat in this game is going to be 99% action combat based. You're going to have your 4 main abilities, and then you also, like I mentioned, have the quick wheel to use other abilities, or to use companion abilities to kind of synergize those together. And overall, I think the way they're doing the combat looks good. It looks very similar to something like God of War. However, I don't know if this is going to lend itself very well to a Dragon Age game, or at least to Dragon Age fans. I think a lot of people that are going to enjoy this combat or like this combat are going to be people that haven't been a fan of the previous Dragon Age games, or haven't been a fan of the tactical pause-based combat in previous games, or, you know, turn-based combat, etc. So they're definitely trying to go a lot more mainstream with this, as well as, you know, the art style, as well as the way they're writing the different characters and things like that, which obviously isn't something that I'm super excited for, but I think other people who may not have grown up on Dragon Age probably are going to come into this game and really enjoy. Overall, I think this is everything you need to know before jumping into Dragon Age the Veilguard on release day, October 31st. Happy Halloween. It's going to be a really fun day for people excited about this game. However, I do want to say, if you are not interested in this game because of the art style, and you don't think you're going to see yourself getting immersed into the world and into the story because of that, or you're not someone who likes the action-based combat that they're going with and you really like tactical combat like in the previous games, or turn-based combat like in Baldur's Gate 3, for example, I think these are very valid reasons that you're not excited for the game or that you don't want to play this game. And no one should spend $60 in a game or be told that you have to play this game when there's a lot of things that you don't find interesting about it. However, I do want to say, despite I share a lot of these exact same grievances, I'm still going to play the game. I am still excited about this game. I'm excited about another Dragon Age game with Dragon Age lore, with a lot of returning characters like Morgan, like Varric, like Lace Harding, like the big bad villain. All of this together, I think, is enough for me to jump into the game, try to get over the things that I'm skeptical about, and hopefully enjoy the experience as a whole. I will be reviewing this game. If this game is complete ass, dog booty ass, I will say so. I will put it on my channel and I will say, hey, I'm not recommending this game to anybody. I'm recommending this game only to Dragon Age fans. I'm recommending this game only to people who aren't Dragon Age fans because it might piss you off. Like, whatever my entire conclusion will be, I will put that on the channel. I will not have a bias about it, and I will straight up say if this game is good or bad for you guys, so I can give you a really good depiction of what this game is going to be like if you're interested in playing it. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Like the video if you like the video, subscribe for more content like this, and please comment down below if you are excited about this game, if you are skeptical about this game. I think in my poll today, most people were either skeptical, excited, or definitely playing the game, but there was a large portion of people, 43%, that are straight up not playing this game. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments what you think about all of this. Thank you guys so much again for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace!